Welcome to Stadium Drive Week 8. Will Ford, Aaron Sprague here at Union Local High School for a matchup in the Buckeye 8, a game that very well could decide the Buckeye 8 championship. The Union Local Jets taking on the St. Clairsville Red Devils. Both teams are 7-0, and for Union Local, it's the first time in school history, Aaron, that the Jets have started 7-0. They've got a special team this year, but St. Clairsville, they're returning a special team from last year with a lot of experienced guys from their 9-3 squad that made a nice playoff run. But this is going to be an outstanding matchup here tonight in Belmont.
Yeah, I mean, down in the Ohio Valley, I mean, St. Clairsville, anyone that's familiar with high school football in the Ohio Valley knows that St. C has had a really good program for quite a few years. They're always right there in the mix, playoff berths, playoff wins, producing great college athletes. They are a great program over there, just really right next door to Union Local. And Union Local, I guess you could say they're the little brother, at least in football.
Sure.
I mean, they've only won one matchup, Will, in the last 13 years.
Yeah.
And that one game was 8 years ago.
Right, yeah. Back in 2016 was the last time Union Local won this matchup. Like you said, 12 of the last 13, and I believe the overall head-to-head matchup between these two schools, it's 26, 12, and 1. So St. Clairsville has dominated this series, but I would say that I would argue this is a different Union Local team than St. C is probably used to. I feel like the Jets have kind of been brewing something special for the last couple of years, and one of their special guys, Dre Saunders, he's got 3 return touchdowns this year, 2 kick returns, 1 punt return. He had 2 interceptions last week. He's also an outstanding wide receiver. He really does it all for the Jets, but they have tons of other talented players as well. Brody Perzanowski in the backfield, who's just a sophomore. They have 2 guys that they rotate in at quarterback. They have a really talented team, and I think St. Clairsville is going to have their hands full on defense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously neutralizing Dre Saunders somehow, some way is going to be to their advantage. We'll see if St. Clair's, I like to say, not to say that anyone's dumb, but are they smart enough to not kick to Dre Saunders?
Right.
I mean, as a coach.
Just kick the ball out of bounds.
As a coach, I mean, you want to limit his touches, and if you can limit his touch on a kick return, then that's what I'm going to do, because he is Ted Ginn lethal for you Buckeye fans that remember the former speedster that would return touchdowns for the Buckeyes all day, all night. Great matchup. Again, I think, if you were to pick someone or favor someone, it's probably St. C just because of history.
Sure, of course.
But it is senior night for Union Local. They are undefeated. They have Bel Air next, and they have an undefeated Barnesville team on the road in Week 10. So they're really fighting for that playoff positioning. This is senior night, their last game at home. You got to think they are going to bring all they got to try to knock off the Red Devils.
Absolutely. And the Red Devils, they have an outstanding backfield. Dino Burke, an All-Ohioan. He's missed some time this year, missed 3 games, but he's averaging 140 yards almost rushing per game. He's got 10 touchdowns. They have another guy in the backfield, Gavin Schoolhart, also almost 600 yards rushing. He has 9 touchdowns. St. Clairsville, I think, is going to try to run the ball down Union Local's throat, control the game. And we know that, Union Local is a little bit more balanced offensively. But I do think, like you said, we're set up for a really good game tonight, and that's why we're here.
Right. And for anyone in the Ohio Valley that gets WTOV 9, I believe they probably stream online as well. But they are here live. They got a great setup to bring this game to you live, both on WTOV 9 and, again, I believe probably online. My guy Rob Mesker does a great job for them. So they know the game to be at, and this one here tonight. The other big marquee game that we're covering tonight, Will, has to be Upper Arlington at Olentangy Orange.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
That is going to be a slugfest over there. I believe 2 pair of one-loss teams.
Yes, yeah, both teams with 1 loss, and UA had a great comeback win last week against Liberty.
Yes.
So, and that was a kind of a game we thought last week go either way when you kind of look at that one on the schedule. And this one I kind of feel like it's the same way. Orange has had an outstanding season. That one, I believe UA is on the road in that one. They're at Olentangy Orange, so that's going to be a really good one tonight.
And then the other one, I guess, to circle on the schedule is Granville at Licking Valley, essentially for the Licking County League title. 2 of the powerhouses in that league. Granville undefeated. And I don't remember off the top of my head if Licking Valley is undefeated or not.
They're 6-1.
Okay.
They're 1 loss to West Muskingum early in the season
that's
in
correct.
overtime. Yep.
That's correct. So those are the marquee games. Will's going to talk to the coaches. Did want to give a plug real quick. Our merch that Will and I are repping, Fear Does Not Exist. We have a store link in the comments below if you want to check it out. We have 25% off right now, also selling some camo hats. So if you want to get in on the mix with the spooky season.
Yeah, it's Halloween, man. It's
spooky season. Here. Well, I did want to ask you, I don't know if you're a horror movie guy. I haven't been a horror movie guy lately, but are you into that at all? What would be your favorite?
No, I don't. I'm not a big horror movie guy. Not really, man.
Nothing, huh? Nothing for me.
I know my dad. My dad is a big Chucky fan. He loves
Okay,
Chucky.
okay,
So I
Child's
watched.
Play.
So I watched
Okay.
that growing up. Other than that, I'm just
All right.
not super. What about you, though?
Well, if you're watching, leave a comment. What's your favorite spooky or horror movie? I mean, I'm a big Michael Myers fan of Halloween.
Fair. Very good.
And I do like a lot of the
Classic.
reboots. I like the Rob Zombie reboot. But just recently, I was reminded the movie Saw is Saw 1. It's the 20th anniversary, actually, this year. And they're actually doing some showings next weekend to re-show the original
That's
Saw.
awesome.
So that's probably – I haven't watched it a ton of times, but Saw from a modern-day standpoint, really like that one. But, yeah, Michael Myers. Leave it in the comments your favorite spooky movie. We are pumped to be here in October, week 8 of the high school football season. And I like to call it championship season.
Yeah.
This is where the trophies are won, legacies are made. Who's going to leave it out on the line? All that work comes down to tonight for these two teams.
Absolutely. Let's start tonight with the game that we just mentioned, Granville-Licking Valley. Talked to Heath Hinton, the head coach of the Granville Blue Aces. They're 7-0, kind of battling the injury bug right now, as probably a lot of teams are as you get later into the regular season. They did battle the injury bug last year, too, kind of in their playoff run at an unfortunate time. But Heath Hinton talks about the step-by-step process through the 7 weeks, guys stepping up due to injury. Kyle Kirby was one of the guys injured. He's going to be back this week. So I'll let Heath Hinton talk about his team going into week 8 here on Stadium Drive. And thanks for being here live on X, Facebook, and YouTube. We really appreciate it being here for Union Local St. Clairsville. But here is Heath Hinton with Granville. Well, Heath Hinton is joining us, Granville football on Stadium Drive for Week 8 as they get ready to take on Licking Valley. But, Coach, thanks for being here. Always appreciate your time. It's been a few weeks since we last talked. It was preseason when we talked last, and now you're 7-0. But I kind of want to talk about the last couple of weeks because you've played a couple tough games, but as all teams do, some teams throughout the year, whether it's early season or once you get to the latter half of the season, you get the injury bug and guys get a little nicked up and whatnot. But you had a couple of guys really step up last week in your win against Licking Heights. You had Luke, is it Boss or Bossy? Luke Bossy had 2 interceptions, filling in for Joey Cousins in the secondary, and then Roy McShane filling in for Kyle Kirby. He had a fumble recovery. Those 2 guys really stepped up on the defensive side of the ball. Just talk about guys stepping up. When one man goes down, it's that next man up mentality.
Yeah, we talked to our kids too, all the way through the preseason and then even early in the season that, they might not be the starters. They might not be, might still be playing a little bit of JV here and there and playing some special teams on the varsity spot. But, just hang in there, do what you can, get better at your position, at your craft throughout the work week of practice. And then, also try to get some game rep, get things on film. If you have to play some JV or you have to play some special teams. And both those guys have done that. And those are guys that kind of worked their way. I guess just into this position to be a starter, to capitalize on their opportunity. So I'm really proud of those guys. Now, what about the status of Kyle and Joey going into week 8 here? Are those guys going to be available for you, or maybe are they limited? What's kind of their status? Yeah, so Joey's going to undergo some surgeries here later on to help him out with his stability in his knee, and so he'll be sidelined. Kyle, I think is going to be okay, and I think he's going to be ready to rock and roll on a Friday night, and I know he's a competitor. Yeah, I know Kyle last year, he got injured during your playoff run, and he was fighting tooth and nail to play. He would have played. I think if he had no legs, he would have still tried to go out and play, man. He is as tough as they can get. But, yeah, he's a guy that wants to be out on the field. I know last week he couldn't help it. But, this week I think he's feeling a little bit better, and I think he'll, like I said, he's a competitor. He'll be out there ready to go. Yeah, definitely. Now with, the last 2 weeks, you had Watkins, you had Licking Heights, back-to-back tough challenges, probably the 2 closest games that you've played all year.
But how have those two games kind of prepared you for, you've got a third one in a row now in Licking Valley, who's 6-1 on the year. But how has this stretch kind of prepared you and your team for the last couple of weeks of the regular season? You close out league play, hopefully win a league championship, but then for the playoffs as well.
Yeah, you know what? We're really not getting ahead of ourselves right now. We're just trying to really focus on us, see what we can do. The last 2 weeks have been challenges, and then we knew they would be. Playing bigger schools, local rivalries for us. Nothing changes for this week too. We're gonna play. Hopefully exceptionally well again because of our preparation and how well we prepared in the process of getting here. And it's always about that little stepping stone of process about just trying to become be great every day and do the right things. And then on Friday nights, you can play fearless, fast, and physical. And our guys are really bought in on that. And I think they always play hard and they play extremely fast. And it comes down to we're trying to do the best job that we can of trying to get them the proper rest and nutrition and stuff throughout the work week. Coach Left does a great job of controlling what we've going through some of the data stuff that we do with our Titan vests and stuff, how much mileage and stuff kids get on them, and how in the weight room too, and how well we're hopefully preparing our bodies for each contest. So Coach Left does a great job. We're glad to have him. He prepares our kids really well for the long haul of the season.
Take me into the X's and O's of Licking Valley then, especially on the defensive side of the ball, because they've got a quarterback who, completes the ball. Brody Rogers completes the ball around 60% of the time or higher. He's very accurate, but he's also got some good, pocket presence and mobility and can kind of make things happen. And they have a good running back as well, Trenton Marcus, who they get him the ball anywhere between 20 or 30 times a game, whether it's in the screen game or handing the ball off. And he's a physical and powerful downhill runner. I mean, how do you match up against those two guys, that offense, what they can do, through the air, on the ground, especially with Marcus touching the ball 30 times?
Yeah, I think it all starts up front too, with what they do up front. They're pretty simple what they do, but they do it at a high level. And it all starts up front with their offensive line. I think their offensive line is doing a great job. I think they run their feet really well on run protection, on run blocking. The quarterback giving him ample time back here in the pocket, and his pocket presence is pretty good. I mean, he doesn't find anybody to throw the ball to. He runs around and makes plays, and just when watching some game film on, he's running around, made plays, and make touchdowns out of nothing. So it's really hard to try to contain those guys, but we're gonna see if our guys are up to the challenge this week. So it should be a big week for us up front. With our front six, front seven guys, just trying to contain him, and also the running game. The running back hits a hole fast. They put him in a lot of good situations, and I think their wide receivers and their tight ends and stuff, they block really well, and help him get some of those extra yards sometimes down the field. So we got our ability to get off blocks, and if we make some plays, and hopefully cause some turnovers.
Yeah, definitely. And it seems like their strategy, especially, with how often they run the football, it's drain the clock, it's control the clock, and put together long, sustained drives. What's the key for you offensively? Because you do have a very kind of multiple offense. You can do a lot of different things with all the talent that you have. But is it, long, sustained drives? Is it chunk plays? What is your play calling going to look like this week against the Licking Valley defense?
We were able last week to kind of develop a game plan in the second half where we were able to run the ball effectively. Now this week's going to be a little bit different. I'm sure we're going to have to, throw the ball effectively in the second half too. But last week we were able to rely a lot on our run game, and that was going, giving the ball to a couple different people too. Caden Rosendahl did a great job running the ball there late in the second half, and Theo always does a great job running the ball. He's kind of shifty there. He had to step in some roles and kind of fill in where Kyle kind of left off. Him and Cash kind of filled in where Kyle left off, and but it all kind of starts up front for us. Our starts are front five, and we had some guys banged up, but those guys will mostly be back, and you had some guys step in there and younger guys and kind of step in there and kind of fill that void when it's still like 7-0 or 14-0, and we were able to kind of ice the game there later in the game just by running the ball. So it was nice to have a fashion where you could throw the ball in earlier games and take some chunk yards. This game was last week's game was kind of more of a ground and pound game, and we were able to control that line of scrimmage, which was really really nice for a big defensive front from Lincoln Heights.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one tomorrow. Thanks for being here, Coach. It's going to be 7-0 Granville, 6-1 Licking Valley. We really appreciate you taking 5 or 10 minutes to talk some football, man. But best of luck, and definitely wanted to show you guys some love this week because you guys have been playing some good football all year long.
Yeah, thank you very much. It all comes down. Our coaching staff's doing a great job with our kids. Our kids are responding, and it's kind of just led from our captains, and our captains are doing a really good job leading the program.
Thanks to Heath Hinton for joining us on Stadium Drive this week for Week 8. It's been a while since we last talked. We just talked in the preseason. He's got a really, really talented team that sits at 7-0, and they're taking on 6-1 Licking Valley tonight. And that's going to be a really good one. Granville on the road in that football game. Senior night just wrapped up here for the football players here at Union Local. We're here for Union Local St. Clairsville. Both teams 7-0. And this game very well could decide the Buckeye 8 championship. Union Local still has Barnesville to play in Week 10, so things are not decided yet. But and they're also undefeated. But two 7-0 teams doing battle tonight, and it's going to be a really good one. But let's take a look at the but all-time series between these two schools, and specifically the last 10 matchups. So if you look at there on the left side of your screen, only one win for Union Local in the last 10 matchups that you see there on the left side. Back in 2016, they did not play each other in 2020, but St. C leads the series 26-12. There's also a tie in there as well, and the Red Devils have won 12 of the last 13 games, and as I said, Union Local's last win in this series was back in 2016, and they won that game 28-7. So it's been lopsided in this rivalry in the Buckeye 8 for the better part of the last 15 years, 20 years. St. C has been traditionally good for so long, and Union Local under Bernie Thompson, I feel like they've been brewing something for the last couple of years, and they're a team that went from 0-7 at this point in the season a few years ago to now being one of the best teams in the area with some of the best talent in the area. You have Dre Saunders, who is an outstanding, really all-around player on offense as a wide receiver, as a defensive back, and on special teams. Brody Perzanowski, as a freshman, eclipsed 1,000 yards, has 1,000 yards again this year. And then two quarterbacks, Isaiah Tomalonis and Colby Carpenter, that, have different skill sets. Isaiah is a little bit more of a running quarterback, can do more with his legs. Colby a bit more with his arm, but they can both throw it absolutely. But very talented is Union Local. St. Clairsville is as well. And let's take a look at the St. C side of things because they are a running football team. There's really no other way to say it. They want to control the clock, and they do so very well. And their lead guy, Dino Burke, he's missed some time this year. He's only played in 4 games, but in these 4 games, look at these numbers. 559 rushing yards, which averages out at just below 140 yards rushing a game. 10 rushing touchdowns, so over 2 a game, 2.5 touchdowns a game. And then Gavin Schoolcraft, who has taken the bulk of the carries in Burke's absence this season, just shy of 600 rushing yards, 9 rushing touchdowns. So 1,000 yards between them and 19 touchdowns. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that if you're a team that wants to establish the run, control the clock, and just wear teams down. And that's what St. C does, and that's what they do well. And they're going to do it to this Union Local defense tonight, and we'll have to see if Bernie Thompson's team is up to task. Let's hear from Coach Thompson because, like Coach Hinton, it has been since the preseason, since we last talked to Coach Thompson. And Bernie, first of all, talks about this 7-0 start to the season, right? I mean, it's pretty special what they're doing in Belmont this year. And like I said, I feel like it's been brewing for a couple of years. Coach Thompson has these guys playing well. They're still a relatively young team, too. Tons of talent. And, talks about the 7-0 start, but also this challenge with St. Clairsville because the Jets haven't won this game since 2016. It's been almost 10 years. Can they turn it around and get a win here tonight? That's the question, and Bernie Thompson's going to answer it. Stadium Drive, Week 8. Thanks for being here live on X, Facebook, and YouTube. And here is Coach Thompson with the Union Local Jets. All right, well, Bernie Thompson is here. Union Local Jets, 7-0 going into Week 8, and they've got a big-time matchup with St. Clairsville this week. Thanks for being here, Coach. I really appreciate your time, as always. 7-0 for the first time in school history. I mean, just talk to me about that because I'm sure that's pretty awesome. You guys have had a special year so far, but just talk to me about kind of the steps along the way, week by week, and now you sit here at 7-0, and it's the first time that school's ever done it.
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me. 7-0 right now, it's pretty special. It's pretty special to, the boys, the coaching staff, the community. It's a great time to be a Jet. And, I go back to, just a few years ago, just trying to build up the program. There was a point where we were 0-7, right? And things weren't going our way. And, we put a lot of time and effort in just the building up, our culture and kind of what we envisioned from a coaching staff standpoint and, building that belief with the boys and just realizing that, if you work hard, good things can come your way. Fast forward to this year and, these guys have put in a ton of time and effort into the off season and worked extremely hard. I think last time we talked about, a couple 7-on-7s in the summer and, all the work that we were doing. And it's cool to look back and realize that what we've been doing is paying off. We've developed good leaders. We've developed a good culture. We developed a winning mindset, right? Winning expectations. And, it's led us to this point.
Yeah, now you've got tons of special players on your team, but one I want to highlight, and we've talked about him before, but Dre Saunders is not only a fantastic wide receiver at, high pointing the football, but when he gets the ball in space, and I mean, you see it on special teams in the kick return game. I mean, it seems like every week or every other week he's returning one for a touchdown, or he's just got big returns, and he sets up your offense with outstanding field position. I mean, he is without a doubt the most dynamic player on your football team, but he is just doing special things, not only on the offensive side of the ball, but in special teams too.
Yeah, he's a special player. I think first and foremost, he's a special kid, and he's kind of really taken a step with his leadership this year. He's taken a step with his work ethic, and it's showing. I think, those were the little things that we wanted to build with Dre, just over the past 12 months is realizing like he's talented. There's no question about that. But talent only gets you so far. You have to be able to be willing to work hard and buy in and be a good leader. And he's done that. And boy, has it shown. He's dynamic with the ball in his hands. Every time he touches it, he's electric. And, and it's fun just watching him just be out there enjoying playing the game because he genuinely enjoys playing. Whether it's playing corner, going and guarding their best player, or whether it's returning the kick or punt. Heck, I think he's returned multiple this year. I think he's returned 3 other ones that got called back. So I mean, that should be better. But just proud of the way that he's handled, just the offseason and has handled the success of this year.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now, you've got St. C up next here in Week 8. They're also 7-0, so undefeated streaks are on the line this week. But the last time that Union Local won this game was back in 2016. I was trying to go back through the archives and whatnot. So it's been a while since Union Local has won this game. But, they return a lot of guys from their Buckeye 8 championship team last year. They were 9-3. And, of course, they're a fantastic team. I mean, when you look at this matchup, and this game is probably going to decide the Buckeye 8, as well, with both of you guys undefeated. I mean, what excites you about this challenge? Because, I mean, it's the toughest challenge yet.
Absolutely. I think everything excites me about this challenge. It's your typical David versus Goliath right here. St. Clairsville is a phenomenal program, and they have been for many years. I went to school here. I played against St. Clairsville in high school, and they were good then. Coach McLean has done an outstanding job of building up that program, and really they're the cream of the crop in the Ohio Valley. They're up here, and in my mind, I've always wanted to be that program, right? And you got to put a ton of time and effort into that, and Also, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, right? And
Right.
our number over the past few years, and now we've kind of built our program up to where now I believe we're at a point where we can compete with them and we can play with them. 2 years ago we actually played them at home, and they beat us kind of last second game, and we were right there with them. And I think that was eye opening for us just to see how far that we've come. Now this year having them at home and they're 7-0 and we're 7-0. First time it's been a 7-0 battle in school history, right? Which it's very special. But we understand that they're great. They're a great program, and to beat a great team, you have to play your best ball, right? You have to go into this with the right mindset. A, believing that you can win the game, and B, going out and executing in all three phases. And it's going to take everybody. It's going to take all 11 on the field this week. It's going to take a great week of preparation, and it's going to show on Friday. And I'm very proud of how our guys do believe in themselves. I'm very proud of the preparation that they have put in, up until this point. And then it's all about just going out on a Friday night and having fun and playing football and realizing that, I'm not an outcome-driven person. I'm a process-driven person. And again, we're going to take it one play at a time, right? We're going to play our style of football, and we're going to go out, and whatever happens, happens, right? We're going to swing really hard and see what happens.
Yeah. Talk to me about the week of preparation, because obviously, I guess, the cliches to, keys of the game, it's take care of the football, do what we do best. And then, like you said, whatever happens, happens. But dive deeper into the X's and O's for me, because, their offense, they've got a lot of talented guys, a really good guy in the backfield. Burke last year was a 1,500-yard guy, 21 touchdowns. They have some receivers. A few of them are a little smaller, but they do have one guy that's a bigger target. And of course, their quarterback was pretty efficient last year too, Schaefer. I mean, they've got a lot of guys. Dive deeper into the X's and O's and what you need to do to, limit their offense, but also, on the offensive side of the ball for you got to move the ball.
For sure. And I think that's the thing. With St. Clairsville, we know who those kids are, right? They're hard-nosed kids, and I think really everything with them starts up front. If you want to beat St. Clairsville, you got to stop the run. Just plain and simple. You have to be able to stop the run. They have a very dynamic running back, Dino Burke. He's been playing for many years for them, and he's the type of kid that every time he has a ball in his hands, he can score a touchdown. They also have, a couple other running backs where they don't just have one guy, so it's hard just to key on one guy. They have multiple running backs that can carry the ball, very physical. They run downhill. And they're the type of kids that if they do get in the open field, you better bring them down or they're going to score a touchdown. But we have to stop the run, right? And then B, we have to be able to match up on the outside because, like you said, they do have athletes, and they have a quarterback who's proven himself over the past 2 years to be able to win many games. And we're just going to do our part in trying to eliminate the big plays. I mean, that's what it comes down to. We have to eliminate big plays, force them to go earn touchdowns, drive the length of the football field. And then on the other side of the ball, for us offensively, we have to sustain drives, right? You can't go 3 and out against a good team. Up to this point, our offense has been clicking, right? You've won 7 games, you're averaging 40 points throughout this year, so 40 points a game. So it's just all about sustaining drives, right? Getting first downs, and when you do call some shot plays, you better execute them. And then when you get in the red zone, you got to come away with points, right? Preferably touchdowns to beat a team like St. Clair.
Right.
So it's those things. And then too, the X factor for us is special teams. You have to excel in the special teams game. In the kick game, you can't give up anything big, right? In the return game, Dre and multiple others have shown that we're pretty good in the return game. And then every point matters. You got to make sure you make your extra points. Right, you have to be able to block for those extra points, and if it does come down to a field goal, we finally have a kid who's capable of making field goals this year, which we're excited about. So it's those things. It's analyzing everything on all 3 phases of the game, and just again prepping for anything. As a coach, I'm sure on the other side he's thinking the same thing. You just your mind wanders, and you just try to hey, if I'm in this position, what are we going to go with, and then making sure the kids are aware of that throughout the week.
What kind of situations do you run through in practice? Is it, like you're down 7, 2-minute drill, type of stuff? I mean, what sort of things do you work with the offense and defense to kind of make sure that they're ready for those types of situations? Obviously, it's different than, being in the actual game and being in that moment. Sometimes you can't replicate everything, but what do you try to replicate?
I think that's a great question. I think you try to replicate. I know I'm big with down and distance, right? What am I got to have in place on third and fourth, short, right? What are we going to call? What do we feel comfortable with? And then two, some, situations where you're behind the sticks. It's second and long. It's third and long. What can you do to get half of it? Like what are your players very comfortable with? Because I think in big games, it's easy to kind of get, you know, you know, just kind of like get out of your comfort zone and start overthinking where we don't want to. We want to actually be pretty simple. Things that we do really well, we want to rep against St. Clairsville, right? I don't want to overthink anything. Me as an offensive minded guy, I love to write plays down. So throughout the week, I'm writing all these extra plays, and then I got to tell myself, hey, cut it back some. We don't need to be overdoing it. But I think it's being very mindful of whenever you're in a certain situations, making sure that your kids are comfortable with what you're doing. We work, situationals on both sides of the ball. Defense, right? When it's third and long, who do we want in? Who's your personnel? What kind of fun are you going to be in? And then two, 2-minute stuff. Stuff before the end of half is so crucial. We're very conscious about our 2-minute drill. We're very aware of working our timeout and getting out of bounds and stopping the clock and just all of that little stuff that you try to preach throughout the season. But these in these big games and at the end of the year, it's going to come up. So you have to be prepared for it.
Absolutely. Well, the Buckeye 8 championship, it seems like, is on the line, this week. It's crunch time, man. Week 8, it's hard to believe we're already here, but best of luck against St. C this week. We're going to be there at the game to do our pregame show and give you guys some love. So I really appreciate you hopping on, and best of luck, not only, this Friday, but the rest of the way, man. And hopefully it leads to a Buckeye 8 championship and a deep run in the playoffs.
Appreciate it, Will. We're excited. That's for sure.
What's up, brothers? Special teams, special play, special players, and the special player for the Union Local Jets is Dre Saunders. Last week, 2 interceptions, and he returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown against Cambridge in their 48-6 win to move to 7-0 for the first time in school history. And he's going to be the man that St. C is going to have to watch out for tonight. You can tell it's getting a little bit darker, and the fans are piling in. Here, we'll get a look. Let's take a look at the bleachers here. The fans piling in here for senior night. Union Local, St. C, both teams 7-0. This is going to be a good one here in Belmont. But let's get you checked in with the other games going on in our coverage area, because there's a ton of good ones. Especially in the Columbus area. But let's start in in East and Northeastern Ohio. For Week 8, Dalton is hosting Norwayne. Garaway just suffered their first loss in the last 3 seasons against Indian Valley last week. They look to rebound against Tusky Valley. Indian Valley will go to Ridgewood. That's a huge matchup in the IVC. Cuyahoga Falls at Talmadge. Of course, the Union Local St. C game here tonight. John Glenn, after a win against Morgan last week, goes to Riverview. West End and Maysville will play each other on the hill. New Lex is hosting Meadowbrook. Meadowbrook is putting together a nice season with a decent resume. The Sheridan Generals are at Morgan. Tri-Valley at Philo. And then Zanesville still looking for their first win on the year at Watkins Memorial. So those are the games in East and Northeastern Ohio. Let's get to Central and Western Ohio. Centerville will be hosting Northmont. Davidson and Kaufman will go to battle. And Kaufman has been playing a lot of teams really close this year. That's going to be a good one in Columbus. Scioto at Delaware Hayes. Gahanna and Westerville Central will go to battle. Grandview Heights will travel to Centennial. Licking Valley hosting the undefeated Granville Blue Aces, LCL title on the line, as we approach the later weeks of the year. Hamilton Township hosting Liberty Union. Jonathan Alder will play Kenton Ridge at home. The New Albany Eagles hosting Central Crossing. Olentangy at Hilliard Darby, Hilliard Bradley and Olentangy Liberty will go to war. And then maybe the best game on the schedule in our entire coverage area, outside of UL St. C here tonight, is Upper Arlington Olentangy Orange. That's going to be fantastic in Columbus, and we really can't wait to see how that one turns out. But let's wrap up here tonight in Belmont. Union Local St. C, 26-12-1 all-time series record in favor of St. Clairsville. They've won 12 of the last 13, 6 in a row, and UL hasn't won this game since 2016 when they won 28-7. But St. C returning a lot of players. Dino Burke, great backfield, experienced quarterback, returning a lot of players from their 9-3 squad last year that made a nice run in the playoffs, won the Buckeye 8, and now Union Local 7-0, first time in school history. Tons of talent, Dre Saunders, Brody Perzanowski, Tomalonis, and Carpenter, and just very good up front as well. And, Union Local is a team that produced an NFL offensive tackle, Colton McKivitz, who is the starting right tackle for the San Francisco 49ers. This is going to be so good tonight. Thanks for being here for Stadium Drive Week 8. Make sure you follow us on all the socials for updates on all the games in our coverage area, for the scores that you want to see. And thanks for being here for with Storied Rivals' coverage of Week 8 high school football, Stadium Drive, and we'll see you in Week 9. And have a good evening, everyone, and hopefully you're getting ready for spooky season. One final shout-out to make sure you check down in the comments below a link to a store to check out the Fear Does Not Exist Halloween hoodies, shirts that we have on sale to get you ready for spooky season and Halloween. But take care, everyone. We'll see you in Stadium Drive Week 9. Have a good night and happy football.